Okay, so I think we stopped at page number 53, and we went through 53, and now we're on 54. There we go, at the bottom. So it says, Gam sark lipshot kapos yadayim. Also, you have to extend your palms. I think it's palm. Kamisha rotza the kaba bechem ezadav, like a person that's trying to accept something. And this is to give a reference to the concept of receiving the Torah. So now we're on number Kuf Ayin Ches, which is down below, and it says V'gam tzarich lishpot. Let's just read the tiv. So the tiv says Be'es shema'alach b'chavazokef es yadayim. When you lift up your hands, tzarich lipshot as kapos hayadayim. You have to extend the palms of your hand. Ba'ofen shenira sherotza the kaba biyada davar ma. So it's a biyadav. So it's if as you're holding your hands together. It seems like a little tricky. I've been trying it. To be able to receive something. So then he says, so when you lift your hands up, and he showed us how we have to put our elbows together, so to speak, and he extends the palms of his hands, as if there's something that he's going to receive. So this brings us a remez that the person is able to receive some kind of purification from up above. That's what he's seeking. So now we'll say that if you want to know the kavanos and the actions that go with them, they go like this. Number one is netilas yadayim. Of course, he explained how you take it in your right hand, put it in your left hand, and then pour on the right, like that. Number two, then you have to lift them up. And he said you have to put your arms together. When you do this, brings the front, but that what is normally facing backwards, frontwards, forwards. Number gimel is chiber kishrei hazroos yachda. That's the point. That was number three. So that's where he says that you put the joints of your hands together, of your arms together. V'haknisem ma'achor l'tzad upon him. So what you do is you're bringing the backside to the front. Number four is lipshot as kapos yadayim kamisha rotza the kapa bechem davar. So then you also have to extend your hands as if somebody's going to give you something. So here we're talking about the tahora that we're looking for. Now let's go up to the top on this same page. This is page Nun Hey, and let's look over here, and I will just read across the top. It's a little bit exciting over here. Is a vihine inyan alisam. When you talk about lifting up the hands, Einam olam la'olam ela b'shem ben mab. So it has to be some name of 42. Now we see in other places that 42 is the energy that moves upward, that moves partsufim or spheros upwards. So in the three hands there is a reference to the name of Mab. Haniskarim b'tikunim b'sod Yad Hagadola v'Yad Hachazaka v'Yad Rama be'emsa Isa. So he has the concept of a right, a left, and a middle. Now we've seen this before, but let's go on. Kate said, how's it go like this? You have Havaya Elokeinu Havaya B'Yamim. Then it changes by moving all the letters of the first part to the left one. I'm not sure 100% what I want to say about moving letters to the left. I know moving letters to the right would be more chesed, so it seems like moving to the letters to the left would be gevuradik, but at any rate, this would be gevura perhaps. It is a kozu, b'mukumuksas, and kozu, those names. Biyad small, so they're going to go on the left. This is your kavana if you want to know it. And then the last one is havaya, so then he says the last one is the word havaya, yud-ke, vav-ke. And then he says he spells it out, the Havaya of Ma. Yud Vav Daled Ke Aleph Vav Vav Ke Aleph Ve'emsa, that's in the middle. So now you have these three combinations of letters that represent the three sides that we are talking about, and we'll hear a little bit more. Arba B'Shtayim. So now you have 14. So if you count up all those letters, you'll see it comes to be 14. Let's see what he means. Number Kuf Pei down below, reading just the light print. It says, when you lift up your hands, Haim Einem Oilen Lamala Ala Bagavanas Hashemos. So when you start to lift them up, you need to have these kavanos of these names Shehem Bigamatria Mab. Now the word that he uses, he says that if you actually want to elevate your hands, you have to have these kavanos in mind. So he said, Shem Mab Maschalik L'Shlosha Pamim Yad. So it turns out that the number 42, and there's other places. We have, of course, Ana B'Koach, and I can't remember the third one. I think that this one is the one. I'm not sure. Okay, we'll go on. I know the Ana B'Koach refers to Olam Yitzira. So this one, I'm not sure what Olam it refers to. He doesn't say, I don't think. So Shoshem Mab, he says the 42 letters, Mischaluk l'shlosh pamim yad. So 3 times 14 is 42. Sheyachtav heim olin begematria Mab, Keniska b'tikuni azoar. So he says Hayad Gadula, he's roa yamim shehu chesed. So the right hand, which is the hand of chesed, is the hand of chesed. He said Hayad Chazaka, so the strong hand. He is roa small shehi gevura, which is gevura. He said v'chayad harama, so the high hand, the elevated hand, is behi b'teferis. It's in Ferris. It's the middle line. Shehi omedet be'emsa bein zroa yamin. So it's in between the right arm, the zroa small, and the left arm. There is some area in between. I'm trying to think now. He told us to put our arms together. So between the two arms, that must be where he's talking about. I think. V'gam he nikras yad. So it's also, this third one's also a yad. V'nimsa shachashem shehu gebigamatria mab. So the name which comes to the context of ma, and you're using this here, mizchalak l'shlosh pamim yad. It could be divided up to 3 times 14, which is the word hand. Shehem bechesed gevur and teferis, which are right, left, and middle. V'yachtav heim olim begematria mab kemis b'shem mab. Okay, fine. Says Rav Heich Mischalik Hashem Shel Ma B'Shloshach Yadayim. So now let's see how this actually works out. So he says, so here you have this word Kupei He. He says Adam. I said that Kupei Vav. He says Shlosh Shemos Elu. These 3 names, Shehem Hashem Elokeinu Hashem. So apparently these 3 names are the basis of our basis. Tossed on the right hand. Yesh bechem yud daled osias k'mizbar yad. So they have 14 letters, which comes to the gematria of the word yad. Yad is 14. V'heim b'yad yamim, and that refers to the right hand. Because shecha bebal lahagvira b'yad hayaman is, so now you're coming and you're lifting up your right hand be'ez netilas yadayim, as you're pouring water on it. Now, I had the idea that you don't lift them up one after. You can't, because you have to pour on your left hand. So it means that you can't lift them up until you're done. So that answered my question there. So the concentration is as the right hand is going up. You have to have this idea. So he says in general, these 3 names. Hu Yudalid. So if you just count up the letters, it comes out to be Yudalid. Now this is a principle that I'm trying to learn, is what is the power of letters, because he uses it all the time in a count. So here he's not telling you any pshat in the letters, he's not telling you what kozu means, he's just telling you how it works. So he said, Kedei la'alos es yad yamim. So this power of saying this Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, you say those and add 14 letters, that gives a koach to be able to raise it up, to raise up your hands to a higher place spiritually. Who chilif osias shem havaya. Then the next one we have the name kozu. So he says that this is a switch in the letters of shem havaya ba'osias she'achareichem, to the letters that follow them. Kazan. So he says osias yud vav daled. Osias she'achareichem are kaf vav zayin and vav. So he says then you go to the word b'muchsas. So there's a hu chilif osius, and this is actually a switch of the letters of Elokeinu ba'osius shala'achareichem. So spell out Elokim, Elokeinu. He says osius Elokeinu, ha'osius shala'achareichem are base mem vav kaf samach zayin. So now you moved all the letters one to the left. Now he's telling us I'm just trying to think is that what is the concept of mob? A mob, mob, this number 42 moves things up. So here's a part of the 42 that is actually the koach of moving things up. Hu pamno sefes chiluf osia shalachre osia shem havaya. So this is another switch where we're taking the name, just like we did with the name of Havaya. Ve'elach shlosha shemos kozu b'muchsav, and then the last one is going to be kozu again. Shehem chiluf Hashem Elokeinu Hashem. Now, again, why you switched them or why you needed to switch them is a question that comes up in this book, in other places as well. But he doesn't tell you. Just tells you that this is in fact what it is. Heim nechtavim, where was that? B'mezuzah b'chutz. Apparently, this is written on the outside of the mezuzah. Connected shlosha tevos Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, corresponding to these three names again. Haniskaras b'pasuk Shema Yisrael. So he's telling me. I mean, it's just hard for me to digest the thought of moving the letters to the left because I'm not trying to understand what that means. But he's telling you that produces a yad that has the power to be able to push things upward, to bring everything upwards in spirituality. Elo shlosha shemos shehem kozu b'muchsas and kozu. Yesh b'chem yud daled osias kamis b'yad. So once again, you have the concept of 14. The heim b'yad small, and they're on the left hand. V'ka'ashecha b'ba l'hagvira v'yada v'smolis. And now, as you are lifting up the left hand, be'es natilas yadayim, Yesh lakava b'shlosha shemos chalalu. So you have to have these kavana of these three names, osios shebechem kum misbar yad, that come to the gematria of yad. Now let me see how far this goes. We'll keep going on it because it's got a little bit to it. Kadei lahalos as the yad is small. So then you come back to Hashem. Then he takes the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is 4 letters. And the milui of ma, which is Yud Vav Dal Ke Aleph Vav Aleph Vav Ke Aleph Emsa. So this is another set of 14. It's 10 and 4. Osir Shem Kavaya Pashut B'Shem Kavaya B'Milui Alofim. This name Shu Yud Ke Vav Ke, like that. Hey Mitzarfim B'Yachad L'Mizbar Yud Daled Osias. You put them together, you got it again. These are your 14 letters. V'Heim B'Teferish Shu B'Emsa. So this is talking about the middle line. So when you're washing your hands, you have to have the idea that there is a middle line, I guess, in the place where the two sides join. This was really kind of a metaphor for sweetening the nook, so to speak. So it says in Nimsa, so it comes out in all of these names that we're talking about here. I'm just looking around to see how far this goes. So let's go. Osias, Yachdav, Hey Mitzarfim, O Mashlimim, Arbayim, V'Shtayim. So if you do it the way what he says, and you can remember to have that kavanah, then you're actually doing the opposite operation that's putting the power into lifting everything up. And this is what's called the name Mab. So he said, "Amnam ad ater rabir rav shem Mab rishon shuhu murkab shlosha pamim yad," which is put together by 3 times 14 is 42. Osias the hashemas ananav ater rabal lavoyer shem shel mab ba'ofen acher. Though now he's going to say it in another way. And he says, so he said, "V'hine yesh derek nosefes devayer as inyan Hashem shel mab." There's another way to explain this. He says, "V'hu shem havaya dema shuhu havaya b'milui alofim." This is a havaya dema. So as we said, which is a havaya in the milui form, b'shlosha madregos de pashut. Umale demole. So here's another way. This is the third way. So I know Ana Bakoach, then there's this one, and then there's the 42 letters developed by the name Ma, which he said B'Shlosha B'Dregos de Pasha Umale demole. So that would be 4 and 10 and 28. Ube'elach Shlosh B'Dregos Yesh Mem Base Osios. So here's another one where we're working with a count. Is a mem-base osius on the chlachos l'shlosha pamim yad osius, which could be divided into 3 different times 14 letters. So he said, "V'hu hanikra shem mab." This is another mab. V'techilach Rab b'vayer as a madrega shlishi. So the Rab starts and he wants to explain. Well, let's talk about the third madrega. The third madrega, shehi shem b'vayer the ma male the male. So this is the male of ma, and in it you count it up. V'yesh bo koach osia. See, he's really telling me the answer of what the power is, but I don't get it. So, in other words, these combinations have a power to them, and so he says that's a fact. So okay. So let's go on. V'yesh bo koach osios, it has 28 letters. V'hu mischalek, and it gets divided up bein shnei hayadayim, between the two hands. Ba'ofen shebiyad yamin, because 28 and 28 makes 14 and 14 makes 28. So he said ba'ofen shebiyad yamin v'hu chelek amale demale, the shem yak. So he says, this is what you got to know. He says, you have to, this is another way to look at it. You divided the right hand, the shape will be used by the name yak, just yud and k. So he said, chetzi hashem harishon, the chavaya, which is the first half of the name Havaya. V'yeshbo yad osius, and if you count it up in the shehem yud vav dalad, vav aleph vav, dalad lamed tes, hey aleph aleph lamed fe. So if you look at it, you count them up, they come out to be 14. Nimsa yesh b'yad yamim shtei pamim yad. So that we see in the right hand, you have 2 times yad. You have 28, shehem yad osius shal chavaya, Elokeinu Chavaya, which is the 14 letters of this name. Havaya is 4, Elokeinu was 6, and Havaya come back again, it could be 4. V'yad Osiyah sheniz ba'ara hocha, so he says those Osiyahs that we're explaining here, sheniz ba'ara hocha, bechetzi harishon, the milui, which is 1/2 of the milui of milui, which is the yud k part, of the Shem Chavaya Dema. So if you divide it up in Yud K as he did, it's going to come out to be 14, and that's 1 hand. So he said, B'yad small on the left hand, Ramaz Achetzi Hashem Hasheni, they have a reference over here to the half of the second side, the second name, which is Hasheni shall Mali Damali, Amali Damali, the Osias Vav K. Shehem Chavaya Dema, which are that part of the Havaya Dema. And it starts with Vav, and then it spells out the K, and let's see what it looks like. V'gam b'chetzi zechab shem shal yad osia. So this other name is Vav aleph Vav, aleph lamed fe, Vav aleph Vav. So that's your Vav, and K aleph, and aleph lamed fe. That spells the Hey. And he said, V'nimsa shagam b'yad small yesh shnei pamim yad. So now you got it again. You have 2 times yad over there, and this can make 28 on each, 14 on each hand. Shehem b'chalosha shemos. Once again, kozu b'mochsav, kozu in the other way that we explained it. V'gam achetzi shem ha'achron shal b'mali d'mali d'shem ma. So it also includes the vav k of the name ma. So we have a little bit more to do. So we're almost there. We go to kuf samich tzadiches. Okay. He said, Teferis. Now we're talking about, so we got the 28 divided into right hand and left hand, but we still got a middle part. Shuhu yadim soi. Shamhu shorish Hashem atzmo. That's where you see the name itself. Now, this is also probably tied into other things too, because we're talking about the manifestation of the middle line. Shehem shtei hamadregos, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shehem shtei madregos yosech yonis. So these are the 2 levels that are the highest. B'shem Havaya Dema, of that part of the Havaya Dema that we've been talking about, Shehem Havaya Pashut. So it is the Havaya which is Pashut, and also the Mole. So the first 2 parts. So for what we did, we went backwards. So first he took the part of the Mole, which is 28, and he split it between Yud K on the right side and Vav K on the left side. Now he comes over here and he says that we're going to take now the Havaya and just the Mole itself, the first 2, which is 4 and 10. Aviyachtav heim misbar yad osios, and together they make the count of 14 letters. Okay, we're on Kuf Samach Zayin, and it says like this: Shem Avaya Atzmel Habapasha V'Hamali. So let's take this, what we just went through here. The Havaya is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the Male is, as we have said, Shabo Yad Osios. There are 14 letters over there. Mimenu Nispasha the Bedrega Hashlishis. From this, we have the Ispashas of the 3rd level. Shem Milui the Chavaya Dema, which is the Milui of the Maya Devat. So he says this is where it starts flowing. Hashem, because in this name, Yesh Koach Osios, Shehem Shtei Pamim Yad, which is the two hands. This is really showing you, if you saw it as we see it in the Siddur, that you have a Havaya on the top, then you have the Mali, and then down below you have the big Mali. The Mali, Sham Chavaya, Shem, Mishur Shem Chavaya, Atzmo, Apashav Amali, Shuhayadim Soy. Okay, there's one more to do, and he says, V'kevin Shel Hashem HaMale, the Male, so since you've got this concept of the Male, Shabo Koach Osios, that has 28 letters to it, Shememenu Nispashto V'Naasa Shtecha Yadayim Shem Yad Yamin B'Yad Small, and here's where we see the concept of this 28 really is the concept of showing you that everything is starting to flow, because you go from 4 to 14 to 10, rather 4 to 10 to 28, and Nispashad and Nispashtus V'Hamali Devaya Dema, Leficha Hu Be'em Sadaika Shuhu B'Tiferes, it shows the spread. Okay, and that's where we're going to stop right here. And let me move my thingy here and get set for the next one.